Dr. John Bindernagel was a Canadian wildlife biologist who argued that reports of Bigfoot deserved serious scientific investigation rather than outright dismissal. He believed that consistent eyewitness accounts, alleged track evidence, and reported behaviors suggested the possibility of an undocumented primate living in remote regions of North America. Throughout his career, he encouraged researchers to apply standard wildlife biology methods to the subject, maintaining that the question of Bigfoot's existence should be settled through evidence and field research, rather than skepticism or belief alone. A couple walking along a quiet forest trail suddenly notice movement at the edge of the woods. Standing motionless in the tree line is a towering Bigfoot-like creature, partially hidden among the shadows. Its dark, shaggy silhouette blends with the trunks, but its watchful eyes remain fixed on them. As the couple stare in stunned silence, the creature neither approaches nor retreats, seeming content to observe them from the safety of the forest before slipping silently back into the trees. On the morning of December 16th, at approximately 8:30 a.m., unusual vocalizations were reportedly captured near Whitsett, formerly Morristown, British Columbia. The sounds consisted of resonant howls and distant whoop-like calls, echoing through the surrounding forested terrain. Witnesses described the noises as non-mechanical and unlike any known regional wildlife. The remote location, timing, and acoustic characteristics of the sounds have led some to consider them potential evidence of Sasquatch, Bigfoot activity.
What that is? I don't know. It's scary. What that is? I don't know. It's scary.
The Vermont Trail Camera photo was captured on September 2nd, 2010, on a rural property in western Vermont owned by a man named Frank. Surrounded by dense forests, fruit trees, and ponds that attract wildlife, the area had already earned a reputation for strange activity, including previous Bigfoot sightings and reports of unusual noises in the woods. After noticing apples disappearing from one of his trees at heights that seemed unusual for local animals, Frank set up a trail camera to catch the culprit. The camera first recorded a coyote feeding on fallen apples, but shortly after, it captured a far more mysterious image. The photograph appears to show a large, crouching figure bent over beneath the apple tree. According to Bigfoot researchers, the shape resembles a Sasquatch, reaching toward the ground. Some have even suggested a smaller, darker shape beneath the figure's chest could be a juvenile clinging to an adult, similar to how apes carry their young. The image became famous enough to be featured on an episode of Finding Bigfoot, where investigator James "Bobo" Fay attempted to recreate the pose seen in the photograph. During the recreation, Bobo, already a very large man, standing around 6 feet 4 inches tall, appeared noticeably smaller than the figure in the original image. The comparison led the team to suggest that if the photo truly depicts a living creature, it could be significantly larger and broader than an average human. Despite analysis from wildlife officials, Bigfoot researchers, and television investigators, no definitive explanation has ever been reached. More than a decade later, the Vermont Trail Camera photo remains one of the most debated and intriguing pieces of alleged Bigfoot evidence ever captured. A black and white daytime trail cam captures a brief, unsettling glimpse of a large figure peeking from behind a rock. The figure appears tall and bulky, with a head and shoulder partially visible as it leans out cautiously. Though the details are limited by the lack of color, the shape and movement suggest something large, possibly covered in hair. A man installed a trail camera with continuous 24/7 recording in a remote forest area, hoping to monitor local wildlife. After reviewing the footage, he discovered a series of strange ape-like sounds and vocalizations captured during the night. The unsettling noises included deep grunts, whoops, and distant howls, unlike any known animal in the region. The recordings raised questions about what might be roaming the woods and led some to suspect possible Bigfoot activity. Dr. John Bindernagel was a Canadian wildlife biologist who argued that reports of Bigfoot deserved serious scientific investigation rather than outright dismissal. He believed that consistent eyewitness accounts, alleged track evidence, and reported behaviors suggested the possibility of an undocumented primate living in remote regions of North America. Throughout his career, he encouraged researchers to apply standard wildlife biology methods to the subject, maintaining that the question of Bigfoot's existence should be settled through evidence and field research, rather than skepticism or belief alone.
When we talk about the Sasquatch as just another North American mammal, I always think of my work doing wildlife surveys, especially mammal surveys, where we are able to determine the presence of a mammal in an area on the basis of its tracks. Mammals aren't like birds. They're not so easily seen. They're elusive. They're often nocturnal. So we look for sign. We look for tracks. We look for scat. We look for feeding sign. On the basis of seeing bear tracks, we say, yes, there are black bears in this area or grizzly bears. And so this is same with the Sasquatch. This is an original. This is the best cast, actually, that my wife and I were able to make here on Vancouver Island. Unfortunately, between the time we found them and the time we got back with plaster, a hiker had stepped in it, so there's a bit of a boot print there. But other than that, it's just an awfully good cast, showing the large heel and the 5 toes. Here are a couple of casts of an immature Sasquatch from Washington State. And people often say, well, gee, if you got a young Sasquatch, the track would look like a human track, wouldn't it? Well, they don't, actually. One of the things quite common in Sasquatch tracks is the spreading of the toes. The Sasquatch foot seems to be, is much more flexible than the human foot, which is quite rigid by comparison. It's almost like the human hand, and then the toes quite commonly spread out like that. This is the largest cast in my collection. It's noteworthy for that point of view. It's also noteworthy because the big toe, the great toe, is quite divergent, sticking off to the side, which is very much an ape characteristic. Of course, in the great apes, the big toe is often straight out. In the Sasquatch, the big toe often diverges somewhat, and that's quite unhuman-like.
That's a gigantic cast.
It's a very large track. There's a bit of slide in here. I'm sure that the heel actually started about there. But yes, yeah, this is an interesting cast because it shows another characteristic of the Sasquatch foot, and just as is shown in these young ones, and that is it is proportionately broader than the human foot.